we got some really good dog news coming up this week. But more pup dates throughout the week. We've got some really good stuff coming. It's getting really exciting now for me anyway. So what we'll do is we'll have a slightly different section for that later on in the week, maybe for those of you that are interested. Because a lot of you aren't interested. You're just here for the West Ham gossip. West Ham rant. Actually, it is just a rant today. So, yeah, let's deal with that, I think. Look, before I go on my rant, because a lot of you would have already read the thumbnail of the title. I don't know what it's going to be yet. I've not made up the title. But it's going to be something about, oh, shut up, Tim Steidten. Have you ever seen that little meme? Or is it a meme? I don't know. I don't know the difference between a meme or a GIF. I don't know, right? But it's like an old lady trying to start up a lawnmower and someone says something to her and she turns around and says, oh, shut up, you. And she says something naughty, right? I had that today, right, with Tim Steidten. Now, I want to just make one thing really clear. You've got to do your disclaimer at the start, right? I was really pleased when West Ham appointed Tim Steidten. I thought it showed progress at the club. We did a video a couple of days ago that it might have been initiated by Daniel Kretinsky. Great, right? I just don't want anyone to think this is a defence of what West Ham have been doing previously or the way the club is run. It's not. This is an isolated criticism of Tim Steidten, right? Because I think we were awful with our buying strategy once upon a time. I'd say once upon a time makes it sound ancient. Very recently. Wasted money on Skamaka, on Haller, on Vlasic, on Felipe Anderson, even Maxwell Cornet. We would hemorrhage money, we would waste money. You can't do that anymore, not with PSR, not with FFP. That's financial fair play and profit sustainability regulations. Basically, every penny counts. You can't muck about anymore. You cannot muck about, right? You can't afford to hemorrhage 20, 30 million pound here or there. West Ham needed an overhaul. We really did. You only had to look at the end of David Moyes' reign. He would often have a bench of players there and he wouldn't use them. That's no good. You want a manager to use the players that have been bought, right? It needed sorted out. Welcome, Tim Steidten. Absolutely brilliant. You know, so let me get that thing absolutely right. I thought it was a breath of fresh air. There's a lot to like about him. But the last couple of weeks, in fact, I think the last 11 days, that's sort of gone a couple of weeks, don't know why I've been particular and precise about that. There have been too many negative articles attributed to Tim Steidten. And I said last week, he needs to come out and needs to head this off at the pass. This guy has multiple social media assets. You speak to anybody and they will tell you, Tim Steidten, he knows how to play the social media game. Brilliant. Okay. And the reason I say that is because he's got a lot of people hang on his every word. I suspect he drip feeds a lot of information out there. I think he cultivates whatever he wants to go out in the press. Now, that works in two ways. If it really helps him. So you got all the stuff with Tim Steidten being pictured on a jet, arm round a player. And if he wants to get him some message out that's positive for a club or helps us sign a player, absolutely brilliant. He has it. He can go to Florian Plettenberg. He can go to Fabrizio Romano. He can do any of this stuff. Brilliant. Right? And it does help. It really does. But it also means he has the facility there that if someone comes out and tells porky pies about him, if someone's out there telling an untruth, fake news, that's it, that's what they call it, no, not porky pies anymore, it's fake news. If anyone's telling fake news, then he has the means to come out and say, this is not true. What am I banging on about for the last 4 minutes? Bit of a worry, isn't it, really? I'll tell you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about whatever, last week before last, when he came out, and he didn't come out, a quote was attributed to him. Got to be careful when you talk about coming out. I'm not suggesting that has happened. Quotes were attributed to him, which suggested he wanted to distance himself between the appointment of Julen Lopetegui, easy for me to say. He'd warned David Sullivan, don't appoint him. Do not appoint this guy. It was leaked that he would prefer to have had Ruben Amorim. I can't even speak. It's not good that I do this YouTube malarkey for a job. I'll tell you that. I can't even string a sentence together. I wasn't even drinking last night, by the way. I should have been celebrating that mighty old West Ham win, which is part of my annoyance that another story's come out today. This is meant to be feel-good times West Ham anyway. Let me rewind back. it was negative. Basically, it was him saying he didn't want Lopetegui. He warned Sullivan not to pick Lopetegui. He was very much looking to separate himself from the appointment of Lopetegui. About 2 days later, there was another story that came out, and it pretty much said the same thing. But I didn't think it was based on the original story. So it was another thing. And also in between, there was a tweet from Fabrizio Romano. It was one of those things that was dressed up. It was a wolf in sheep's clothing, basically, is what it was. It was dressed up as if to say, oh, Julen Lopetegui is not under any immediate pressure. I mean, that's terrible. I mean, it's a terrible thing to say in that sense. Because you imagine with your girlfriend, if you said, oh, your boyfriend, ladies, if you're watching this, you imagine if you said to your girlfriend, and she was saying, how's things going at the moment? And you turned around and said, well, you're under no immediate pressure. She'd start packing her bags, wouldn't she? She would. Absolutely. If you were at your job and your boss turned around and said, so how's things going? Are you, you'd started saying, well, I'm quite sure the next week should be okay, or something like that. Then you'd certainly be, people would be thinking more short term. So anyway, Fabrizio Romano said, look, Lopetegui's under no immediate pressure. It was quite obvious it came, I thought, this is only my opinion, this whole video is my opinion. I thought it was obvious that it had only come from Tim Steidten, right? So, whatever, West Ham, there was no immediate threat to Julen Lopetegui, but the West Ham board were keeping a close eye on him. That's it, keeping a close eye on him, and watching results and all of that sort of thing. So that was the third one. The fourth one is today, but there's some extra context here, because we won yesterday, right? We won. Not only did we win, it was off the back of a really crappy old week, right? Where, let's be fair, the manager's job was under massive scrutiny. There'd been rumours of a falling out between Lopetegui and Mohamed Kudus. Fisticuffs, not quite, I joked. I made that bit up. They had to be separated in the dressing room. What? Leave it. Just like on a Friday night in the high street. Not I would know about all that. But like, leave it. No, let me at him. I wonder if it went like that. Anyway. This sort of thing happened, apparently, in the dressing room. Lopetegui and Mohamed Kudus. And the context is, everything was great. Kudus was playing with a smile on his face. He didn't just pick up one seat when he did his celebration to sit on. He got a whole stack of them. Brilliant. And there was one of the pictures, if you've seen it, it's on the West Ham website. I hope they don't erase it. The photographer just caught him as he was about to sit down on the bench. You know, he does that celebration. Kudus scores a goal. Sorry, my brain's all over the place today. I'm jumping from one thing to another, I know, but stick with me. I'll get back to Lopetegui, the Steidten thing in a minute. So he celebrates, scores a goal, celebrates, and he runs off. He likes to sit down, doesn't he? Started off on the advertising hoardings, arm round pack guitar, whenever that was last season. And then he's had the one where he tried to, I think it was at Newcastle. Did he try and nick the stool off a ball boy at Newcastle? They wouldn't let him have it or something. Anyway, he likes to sit down on one of the photographer's stalls or one of the ball boy's stalls. He grabbed a whole stack of them and he sat down. But where they've taken a picture, he was neither stood up running towards the stall or he was sat on the stall. He was crouched. He was basically squatting. He was squatting above the... Honestly, he looked like he was about to take a Donald Trump, a Bradley Pitt. So maybe it was just me. I think I'm probably the only one that noticed that. But now you won't be able to unsee it. Anyway, my point is, he's happy. Kudus is happy, right? And there's a lot of good stuff. I'm going to do more of the good stuff tomorrow, by the way. But I love the fact that Kudus scored. I thought he played well. Lots of our players played well. All right? And he was happy. And everyone was happy. And Lopetegui was happy. When he was substituted, they even had a half cuddle, right? Again, that's not something you want to do. You want to do with your girlfriend, have a half cuddle. That's getting all the advice. Getting all the advice here. Thank you. You're welcome. So anyway, everything was fine. So we don't need today another article coming out where basically Tim Steidten has been reported. This is in the Sun newspaper, and he's saying, "I feel unsupported." Oh, come on. Okay, did he say it? Are there quotes attributed to him? No. But this is, as I mentioned, this is the point at the start. This is a man who knows how to run the media. There's another story from a separate source saying he's unhappy. He didn't want Lopetegui. He wanted the brighter manager or Paulo Fonseca, which is a weird one, because West Ham had been wanting him for years, and he was about to lose his job 2 weeks ago. I think it was David Moyes was being pimped as one of the replacements for his job. Anyway, he was basically, I wasn't backed with John Duran. I wasn't backed with XYZ. Goodness gracious me. Oh, shut up. Honestly, it was too much, all right? It was far, far too much. And I'll tell you why. Before I tell you why, send us in a fan cam, will you? By the way, listen, send us in a fan cam. It could be about this if you want it to. I'd rather it be about yesterday's game. We put some fan cams up last week. We really, really enjoyed having them. So there's a link in the description below of where to send your fan cams and how to send your fan cams and all that type of stuff. We'd like get your phone, grab your phone, record yourself. 5 minutes would be optimal, and send it in, and we'll publish it on the channel. We'd really appreciate it. We've got 2 weeks of nothing going on because, because England, well, it's not just England, all internationals being played. And, Jarrod Bowen's not been selected for England, has he, for a start? So we got less to do. We'd love to feature your videos, and it would help us immensely. So, and have a look. We've got prizes. People are sending videos regularly. We've got prizes. There you go. Anyway, right, let's get back to this thing that was in the Sun. It was all about how he hadn't been backed, right? Now, I just want to say this, all right? I'm annoyed that West Ham didn't sign John Duran. Okay, I am. And Lopetegui wasn't my choice as manager. But there comes a point where leaking this stuff becomes detrimental. Also, if Tim Steidten's complaint was, hold on a second, everyone buys players here. Sullivan buys a player. Lopetegui buys a player. Noble buys a player. Okay, it's a fair complaint, but not in public, mate. All right? Gets that lawnmower thing again. Not in public at all. Not particularly not for the 4th time. Come on, let's just leave it. Now, I can only assume that he did that interview before we won. Or it wasn't an interview. I keep around to this is all allegedly and blah blah. And I just want to be very accurate on that. These are thoughts and sentiments that are attributed to Tim Steidten, but they keep happening. They keep happening, and he doesn't stop them. All right? I think this is my point. I'm getting a bit annoyed with it. If he wants to say that he wasn't backed with the appointment of the manager, okay, fine. And I get it. Particularly if you think Ruben Amorim's absolutely brilliant, they wanted to get him, okay. If he wanted Duran and we didn't get Duran, I understand your frustration, mate. I really, really do. All right? But, and let's have a big but, because this whole thing, honestly, get the violin out on this one. Tim Steidten's got a good job. He gets really, really well paid at West Ham. I'd imagine. I've not seen these. I imagine he earns more money than you and me. Let's put it that way, right? He's doing all right. Unless Tim is watching this, in which case he earns exactly the same amount of money as you do. He's not watching this. But anyway, he gets a lot of money. Not only that, he has received the sort of backing that no one has really ever received at West Ham. Now, maybe he wanted full control and he wanted to be completely omnipotent. It ain't going to happen, mate. It's like having that rope toy and giving it to a dog. Give it. Go and give it. It's a bit like that. It's going to take a little while. He had to suffer last season. He had a very diluted role last season. But this season, because under David Moyes didn't want to relinquish power. This season, he's got a bit of it. And I say a bit of it. Let me just make this absolutely clear. He has been able to appoint, I forget the geezers, Maximilian Hans. That's the guy. I thought I was going to forget his name. I remembered it. Now, he's the guy, the data expert, the video data expert from Werder Bremen. He appointed him. He put him in place. He appointed other scouts, brought them over, put them in place. These scouts have helped identify players. And basically, he was allowed to build a scouting department in his image. I didn't mean to look like him. The scouting department he wanted. That very same scouting department crunched the numbers, a data-led model, Moneyball, whatever you want to call it. They identified this really, really good young player in Brazil. It's called Luis Guilherme. You might have heard of him. He played yesterday. The club backed him. The club said, OK, fair enough, we'll go and buy this guy. That was a very West Ham thing to do. Again, you're pulling you're trying to pull the rope out the dog's mouth there. I think that was a hard thing for West Ham to do, really. I don't think David Sullivan wanted to do that. I really don't. So it happened. That wasn't me farting. That was the chair. That happened, right? I might fart later, but that wasn't one. I think to give over and to commit £20 million for an 18-year-old, unheard of, so on and so forth, that was backing. That was backing Lopetegui. Bringing Maximilian Hans in was backing. Sorry, not Lopetegui. Was backing Steidten. Steidten was able to add his brother to the payroll. Now I know all that sort of stuff's gone on for years at West Ham. Moyes' son, brother. I think everyone. Oh, family Moyes might have been. That's a joke. Don't want anyone getting litigious about that. Huselos' son was here. Pellegrini's son was here. Juan Pellegrini. Juan Pellegrini, I believe. Good name, that. Look, that's been happening at West Ham for some time, right? You know, the boardroom's packed full of family members, isn't it, right? Nonetheless, he was backed. And then he's Todibo. We really pushed the boat out. Apparently, Todibo was very much a Steidten signing. We really pushed the boat out on that, got him. Really pushed the boat out on Guilherme, got him. Didn't get his first choice in Julen. I wish we had done. We look silly now, absolutely stupid. I totally agree. But at the point when it wasn't done, let's not pretend that David Sullivan or Julen Lopetegui chose Nicholas Füllkrug. That was a Tim Steidten signing. We went out and got him as well. It's no one's fault that he's injured. That's fine. I think the point I'm trying to say here, to read these woe is me articles, you would think that Steidten has had no support at West Ham at all. He has. Full power to run the club? No, ain't going to happen, mate. It's not at West Ham. It's not going to happen. But I'd imagine he is paid significantly more than he was paid by Leverkusen, and he has been able to spend a lot of money at West Ham. I get the frustration with the manager, I really do, but we don't need to keep hearing it, because you are a director of football. I'm talking to him. I'm not you. I'm talking to Tim Steidten there. You're probably not. You're probably just sat on your sofa watching a video at the moment. But I would say to Tim Steidten, you are you're a director of football. Your job is to help West Ham. These leaks are not helping West Ham. We get it. OK, you didn't appoint Lopetegui. We get it. We understand. We don't need to hear it anymore. Lopetegui doesn't need to hear it anymore. The players don't need to hear it anymore. We just got to a point where we might be able to, that training ground might be, a better place. I'm sure, lots of them, I need to have a look, actually, who is going away on international duty. I've not looked yet. But, by and large, it's going to be a happier place. You've only got to listen to the comments that Max Kilman said about Todibo. This is good stuff, right? Let them be. Let them be. He might not have been everyone's first choice. He might not have been Steidten's first choice. Lopetegui, he weren't my first choice. He weren't even in my top 5, all right? But maybe, just maybe, you can build on something now. Maybe you can. And we have to allow him the chance. It's not we know you can do what you want. But surely Tim Steidten has to allow him the chance to succeed. I'm thinking this is not ending well if it carries on like this. Hopefully by the time I upload this video, he's used one of his influencers. Someone told me, I think it was Gio told me, he said, Fabrizio Romano is not a journalist, he is an influencer. I thought, all right, okay. So, hopefully he uses one of his influencers and puts an end to this now. Because he looked happy enough when he was sat down with Lopetegui at the start of the season. It was like all this stuff only started coming out when West Ham started to do badly. He was happy enough to be photographed with Füllkrug, happy enough to be photographed with the majority of these players. I think we all know that Max Kilman wouldn't have been a Tim Steidten signing, but you've got to give the manager a little bit of what he wants, haven't you? There were probably others as well. We've heard that Crescencio Somerville was a Sullivan signing. Okay, not great. I quite like Somerville, actually. I don't mind us signing him at all. But you just got to get with a programme. I heard for years at Liverpool, everyone is done by committee. Everyone they sign. And maybe he thinks quite possibly he should be at Liverpool. They were interested in him. But honestly, this is not helping his cause. This is not going to endear him to any of those big clubs, because they're going to think, oh, hold on a second, what's he going to do if things don't go his way? He's not going to be... Crikey, it's 20 minutes. Sorry, beg your pardon. Anyway, I'm going to go. I'm going to skedaddle. I'm going to go. I've got loads of puppy videos to look at. It's very good. The breeder keeps sending videos through every day. Loads and loads of videos of the puppy. Amazing development. 3 weeks old. Yesterday? Today? 3 weeks old yesterday. Amazing, huh? Right, anyway, I'll catch up with you tomorrow.